So today we're going to start pruning all our fruit trees. This row here is a row of cordon apples. It's a way of growing apples in a very compact space. By leaning them down at this strange angle, it actually prevents or helps to suppress apical dominance. And what that means is, rather than all the energy going right up to the top growing buds, it kind of balances the energy, the flow of energy, all the way down the stem. And you can see there's lots and lots of fruiting buds and fruiting wood right down almost to ground level. We're going to take a closer look at the actual fruiting systems. But today we need to get the winter pruning done so that these long vegetative growths that you can see don't start to become bigger and bigger, and we keep the growth really compact. So taking a closer look at the inside of the tree here, these are the fruiting spurs, and you can see the fat fruit buds, clusters of them, on these little short branches which we call spurs. You can distinguish the fruiting buds, these will produce the flowers and then the fruit, from the vegetative buds, which are very small and flat, which these will just produce the leaves, and some of them will produce new stems. We need to cut all this 1-year-old growth back to perhaps just 1 or 2 buds, and that will promote the formation of more spurs and therefore fruit buds at the base of the stem. These are starting to get a bit congested now, and we're going to have to remove some of the spurs, and you have to do this from time to time, otherwise you end up with too many apples growing too close together, and you need to thin them out perhaps every 5, 8, 10 years maybe, depending on how vigorous the tree is. So we're going to be doing a combination of that today. As usual, we have our little helpers, which aren't necessarily being very helpful at the moment. How are you going to get down from there? That's not being very helpful, is it?
He's going to snap them, prune them for me.
I definitely want to keep some of those as well. Popular one. So we're collecting up the material that we've taken off the tree, because these make really good scions for grafting. We're putting them into bags that are well labelled so that we don't muddle them up.
Now we're going to start cutting out the tops and some of the crowded fruiting spurs. We also need to rewire the wires, get them all tied back in. We've neglected them a couple of years, so that's our aim today. There's no point in letting it grow too high, because harvesting, the reason for is that we can harvest them here. But you can see we're going to need to take this out so that we're not so high. We can just cut it off and be brutal there, but there's no need. So we'll prune off and thin it out in here. And okay. Oh la la. So, look at that from the other side. Just thin out some bits on the way. So now we've taken out the top, we need to start thinning out some of these. You've got to stand back and have a look every now and then. It's, you know, I'm going to look at areas, I'm going to look at damaged areas first. I'm going to look at areas where I might be able to just cheat with the wire and not feed it back through. You know, have a just quick glance like that. I've got to think about maintenance of moving down this path, because the growth we get put on each year is phenomenal. So for me, for the ease of my job as mowing, I'll probably take a few more out the back here, because we've also got berries here which we need to come down and harvest. So you've got to be ruthless in this game, and because it's alright thinking, oh, I've got all these little babies, I don't want to lose them. The weight itself, if they're not supported, not thinned out, you're going to get bad bruised apples, and you're going to might get snapped cordon, which after all these years of training it and growing it, you know, would be heartbroken. So we're going to be ruthless this year and take some, not too heavy, but do that over a succession of years. But taking a few out, mainly from the back this year, I think.
Okay.
So I think that what we might need to do is some of the spurs are very thick, so we want to prune them with a pruning saw. We're just going to have a quick look through and see. There's a bit of damage on one here. Disease could get into there. Very clustered here. You know, you start off with a span of the hand, you know, and it's like, but as you prune them, they interlock basically. So where I'm going to bring it back in onto the wire for support, I can lose some of those, because otherwise it will just be rubbing. It's rubbing on this wire here, so it is damaged. So the things like that I'm just going to take out. You know, as I say, not so drastic. Not on this side for this year, but a bit more heavier on the other side. So we'll do a bit of that. I think we might take up. So where we're, you know, we've got all this here. You know, we could just take this one out, or you could take that one out. It matters not, but there's more fruit on that. We might lose some of that to give space for these. It's all forward thinking. So I'm going to start with this one. Take this one out. So we know that this one's damaged, so I'm going to take this off. That we know is damaged. This is going to be the cable. The wire is going to come down a bit. This is going to be in the way, so I would want to lose that, but I shall just wait, because I want to take more off the other side. But if we can see these fruits here, once they're fruiting, we'll get congestion, so we can take that back, and I'm going to take it back with the secateurs to get in top with the saw. This might drop a bit because it's resting. Yeah, that's alright. You see, when I get that back in, there's going to be fruit rubbing on this wire, which we don't want. But I can't blow it back on, so I shall wait and be patient. So I'll move around to the side where I shall do a bit more heavier work. But you can see the idea of just thinning out. This has got to come. See if we can get you in closer. So yes, we've got some congestion here. And take this centrepiece out. Try with the loppers first. Might just get in. Might just get in. Yeah. Because when this is covered in leaf, you know, again, it's going to be not having any sunshine get to ripen these fruit. So taking big pieces off, that's good. That's going to come down some more. And also, it's not only about the size of the big fruiting spurs, it's also just thinning out some of these as well. Taking some of these bits, congestion here, you know, just initially just go along the whole lot and then you can see the wood for the trees. So I'm just going to take these out. Take that off now. Thin it out. That's okay, that's okay. Take that one out. Okay. Take that one. And you just keep going along. But I'm going to take the heavy weight off the back. And then we'll do this every couple of years. We want to bear better fruit, more than plenty of fruit. So I think we'll be moving on to the big trees, won't we, or the espaliers?
We'll look at the espaliers first, and then, because the big trees are a completely different technique, aren't they?
Yeah, I'll have 10 minutes while you go over there, and then we can probably have another look at what I've done.
Okay. So this espalier is probably only 8 to 10 years old. We trained it ourselves from a young tree which we grafted 8, 9, 10 years ago. Can't be much more than that. And the principles are very, very similar, except the branches are laid horizontally rather than at an angle. You can see all these young whippy growths that have grown in the last year from the small spurs that we cut it back to every year. So we're going to be doing more or less the same thing, but it's just a different shape. And again, this sort of type of pruning was developed for two reasons really. One, they're very decorative. Two, they produce a lot of fruit from a very small tree that's easy to harvest, easy to prune, because it's all down at sort of ground level. And you can use these, as we have, as sort of divisions, or you could grow them against a wall. They we prune them twice a year actually. We prune back all the new growth in the middle of summer, and then in the winter you can see what's regrown since we did that, and we need to now cut that back to one bud again. So this really long one's got to come off, just down to one bud from where you can see the new growth changing into the older growth. And again, some of these spurs are getting a bit too long, some of them slightly overcrowded, so we'll be doing the same sort of thinning process at the same time. That's a little owl, or two little owls you can hear in the background there.